The Harmonic Architecture of Consciousness, the drawing that opened the field. There are moments in human life that do not arrive through logic, they arrive through sensation, through intuition, through silence, through emotional recognition, through symbols that appear before the mind fully understands them. This book began with one of those moments. What first emerged was not a theory, a philosophy, or structured system. It was a drawing, a spontaneous symbolic geometry that appeared during a grounding ritual connected to what I call the emerald flame field, a meditative and introspective space centered around coherence, emotional awareness, embodiment, symbolic perception, and harmonic creation. At the time, I did not fully understand what I was creating. I only knew that something within me was attempting to organize itself visually. Spirals began appearing, then interconnected nodes, petal-like structures, flowing pathways, containment fields. The image felt alive, not alive in supernatural sense, but alive psychologically, emotionally, and symbolically. As thought, the subconscious mind, the nervous system, the memory, intuition, and emotion were attempting to communicate through architecture rather than language. And this realization and this realization changed something fundamental in me because I began to wonder, what if consciousness speaks symbolically before it speaks verbally? What if emotional patterns are not random experiences but structured energetic and psychological pathways that shape identity over time? What if healing is less about fixing ourselves and more about reorganizing fragmentation into coherence? This book is an exploration of those questions. The harmonic architecture of consciousness is not presented as scientific doctrine, absolute metaphysical truth, or psychological certainty. It is a philosophical, symbolic, and introspective exploration of consciousness through the lenses of emotional intelligence, symbolic perception, nervous system awareness, embodiment, pattern recognition, beauty, resonance, coherence, and human transformation. At its core, this work explores the possibility that human beings are architectural by nature. Every repeated thought creates pathways, every emotional experience creates structure, every trauma fragments or reshape internal organization, every act of awareness reorganizes perception. Over time, the inner world becomes an architecture, and eventually, that architecture begins shaping external reality. This is why the concept of coherence is central throughout this book. Modern humanity exists inside an age of fragmentation, fragmented attention and identity, fragmented emotion and nervous systems, fragmented relationships and perception. We are overstimulated, accelerated, and emotionally overloaded. Many people are no longer connected to themselves rhythmically. They live in reaction rather than resonance, and because of this, many struggle not from lack of intelligence, but from lack of internal harmony. The deeper message behind harmonic architecture is simple. Coherence changes perception. A coherent emotional field perceives reality differently. A coherent nervous system creates differently. A coherent mind speaks differently. A coherent human being influences environments differently. This book explores the structures that either support or distort that coherence. Throughout these chapters, we will explore the symbolic nature of consciousness, spirals as models of emotional evolution, the architecture of trauma and fragmentation, nervous system resonance, emotional geometry, symbolic intelligence, beauty as psychological regulation, embodiment and grounded manifestation, intuitive creativity, and the possibility that human evolution may increasingly involve emotional and symbolic forms of intelligence alongside analytical reasoning. Some ideas in this work may feel philosophical, some may feel psychological, some may feel poetic, some may feel spiritual. This is intentional. Human consciousness itself is multidimensional in experience. This book was not written to place consciousness inside rigid boxes. It was written to explore the living patterns beneath human experience. The drawing that opened this field was never meant to become a perfect explanation of reality. It became something more meaningful, a mirror, a symbolic reflection of how consciousness attempts to move toward harmony even after fragmentation. And perhaps this is one of the deepest truths hidden inside the human experience. The psyche is always trying to reorganize itself into coherence. Even after grief, even after fear, even after confusion, even after collapse, something within us continues attempting to bloom, not mechanically, organically, like spirals, like flowers, like living geometry. And maybe healing itself is not the destruction of who we were, but the gradual harmonization of everything we have been. How consciousness speaks through pattern. Chapter 1. The language before words. Before thought becomes sentence, before memory becomes story, and before emotion becomes explanation, there is a more ancient layer of perception operating quietly in the background of the human mind. This is the layer where consciousness does not speak in language, it speaks in patterns, not words, not concepts, but symbol, sensation, image, and inner movement. 1. Symbolic perception. Symbolic perception is the ability of the mind to receive meaning without translation into language. It is not imagination in the ordinary sense, it is a preverbal form of cognition, where reality is experienced as shapes that carry emotional tone, inner images that feel meaningful without explanation, sudden intuitive associations, visual impressions that arrive fully formed, bodily sensations that seem to signal something. At this level, the mind is not interpreting reality, it is reading it directly as a field of meaning. A door is not just a door, it may be perceived as transition, threshold, hesitation, or invitation. A wave is not just water, it may be experienced as emotional release, memory, or inner movement. This symbolic layer is the psyche's original language. 2. Preverbal cognition. Preverbal cognition is the intelligence that operates before language divides experience into categories. In modern consciousness, language is often mistaken as the source of thought. In reality, language is only the final translation layer. Before words form, the brain processes reality through pattern recognition, emotional resonance, sensory mapping, spatial and visual intelligence, nonlinear association. This means that what you know instantly, before you can explain it, is not irrational. It is preverbal computation of meaning. It arrives as I just know, I can feel it, I saw it in my mind. This is cognition without narration. 3. Why the psyche communicates through imagery. The psyche uses imagery because image is the most efficient form of compressed meaning. A single image can contain emotion, memory, prediction, fear or safety signals, relational dynamics, symbolic truth. Where language unfolds linearly, imagery operates multidimensionally. For example, a storm image may carry emotional overwhelm, unconscious conflict, release of tension, transition into clarity, all at once. This is why dreams do not explain themselves, they encode meaning in symbolic form. The psyche prefers imagery because it bypasses resistance. It speaks directly through the deeper layers of the nervous system. 4. The intelligence of intuition. Intuition is not random, it is pattern recognition operating beneath conscious awareness. It arises when the mind integrates subtle data streams too complex for verbal processing. Micro expressions in other tone of voice, energetic shifts in environment, memory patterns stored in the body, emotional resonance across time. The result is a compressed conclusion experienced instantly. Intuition often appears as a feeling of alignment or misalignment, a sense of expansion or contraction, a quiet inner certainty, a warning without explanation, attraction or withdrawal before thought forms. This is not separate from logic. It is logic operating at a deeper, faster layer of integration. 5. The forgotten layer of mind. Modern thinking emphasizes language based intelligence, analysis, reasoning, explanation, narrative structure. But beneath, this is a more ancient system, a symbolic intelligence that never stopped operating. It is always active in dreams, sudden insights, creative inspiration, emotional reactions that feel bigger than the moment, spontaneous inner imagery. This layer does not speak in sentences, it speaks in coherence patterns. When a pattern feels true, it is because multiple layers of cognition have aligned before word arrives. Before the mind learned to speak, it learned to perceive meaning directly, and even now, Beneath every thought you form, there is a quieter intelligence still speaking in its original language. Image, pattern, sensation, and inner knowing. This is the language before words.